Hey girls, how's it going? How's the health? How's the family? Hope everything's good. Anyway, this video is unscripted, you can probably tell. I just want to see if I can make something faster without having to write a script that takes me hours of actual writing and hours of doubting whether or not I'm a good writer, so here we are. However, this is like take 100, just so you know. But I will get right on track. So, every year, supposedly, allegedly, I don't actually know if it happens every year, we get a convention called Gamescom in Serbia. It's around October time. And the reason why I don't exactly know is because in this country, I don't know how this happens, but you cannot find out when things are held. Like, I don't know where people find out, like, fucking anything, because there is no announcement until, like, a week before the event. Like, how the fuck am I supposed to know that? Whatever. Doesn't matter if it's not even happening this year. I just chose this time frame to hold myself accountable for making a portfolio for a convention, and that's totally not because I got inspired after I saw a girl at that convention make absolute bank in the artist alley like 2 years ago, but I digress. So I was thinking, like, obviously, the more, you know, popular stuff is gonna sell well, and I'm 22. Give me my cane, give me my pension fund. I am an old lady. I don't know what the kids like, so I started watching what the kids like, and I realized that none of it catches my eye. Like, I like things that most people don't watch is the issue, right? Like, ask anyone who started fucking watching anime during COVID what Code Geass is, and they would not know. Meanwhile, they're missing out, because that shit was amazing. I traumatized so many people watching it. Shit was great.
I'm gonna kill myself. I'm gonna fucking kill myself. I'm gonna jump.
Alright. So I'm getting you Pizza Hut money and enough money for a bottle of vodka or an alcohol of your choice.
So I started watching a bit more, whatever, and one thing caught my eye. For no reason at all. No reason at all. Mama was literally me. I'm gonna go out and say this. I also forage. Maybe this is your first impression of me, you don't know, but I also forage. I managed to guess all the plot points because fucking people are like rubbing their fucking faces, stuffing their butt cheeks with like rhododendron and like oleander, and they're like, I feel kind of sick. I wonder why that is. Girl. Anyway, I just want to know how many fucking destroying angels I got a mistake for Agaricus campestris before I can get fucking, you know, kidnapped into a harem of my own. But I digress. So I drew Jinshi, because of course, and I had a lot of fun with it. I sketched him back when I was in the US. Yeah, I went to the US, imagine that. I was there for a month, and it was an experience. I was there to meet my cousins, and one of them, who was 11, was like, hey, do you want to collect radical rocks with me? Like, just cool rocks that we find in the creek. And I was like, yeah, sure, fuck it, whatever. So I was standing somewhere in fucking central Georgia, Atlanta, whatever. I don't know, American geography. You know, revoke my European license if you want. But I don't know shit. I was standing there, we were finding cool rocks, whatever. And then when I was ready to leave, like the country, it's entirely, like my cousin was like, oh, I put something extra in your bag, like for when you leave. It was like a little surprise. And I was like, thanks, Philip, that's cool. So I go through the TSA and they tell me to come with them, like to the side. And they look at me and they're like, ma'am, why are there rocks in your bag? And I'm like, what rocks? You know, I'm looking at them as confused as fuck. They're looking at me confused as fuck. And I think they saw that I'm just a girl. I'm a short-statured, well-mannered girl. So they like looked at me for a bit and then they were like, just go. My cousin put rocks in my bag, which is supposedly apparently illegal to transport across, you know, the US internationally. And I got stopped for that. They did let me go. I got back to Belgrade to like finally get some sleep. I opened my bag. There was an entire little box of rocks in my bag. A little note attached to it that said something like, I love you, you're the best cousin ever. I love you, Philip. And I was like, bro, I can't even get mad. I can't even be mad, you know what I mean? So, thanks, I guess. I still have the rocks. I don't know what to do with them. I guess I will keep it. And he also gave me this fucking thing. I fucking love it. Look at this. It's the best fucking thing I've ever laid my eyes on. And this yellow thing as well. I should give them names. I'm thinking Robert for the for the red one. I don't know, just calls to me. But yeah, I drew Jinshi, I sketched him out because I was on that grind. I did not bring my tablet with me to America, which was such a smart move because it was a 30-hour journey, fuck my life. And I wouldn't have handled it. I would be too anxious about someone stealing it. It's literally my baby. So then I started like actually coloring him. Had to like shape his head down, like shave it a bit because it was not working. I wanted to use muted colors for this, like make it muted and nice and like mysterious, kind of like the reference I was using, but it just didn't go well. And so I resorted back to like bright colors, which is like whatever. I had troubles with the face as well because I like drawing men the most, you probably noticed, but I like specifically focusing on the elegance of their features, right? Like, yeah, I think there is elegance in any man's features, no matter how burly, muscular, and masculine they are, right? That's what I want to capture. So I was struggling with this. I had my friend Lacra help me out. She was in a Discord call with me, giving me pointers and everything. I remember she got a phone call from her mom or something, so she had to like, you know, step out for a bit. And I was just like shaping the face, and I decided to make a radical decision with the chin. And then she unmuted her mic and was like, "Val, put the chin back, I swear to God." So I listened to her. I am obedient when it comes to this. So thank Lacra for the development of this face towards a favorable direction. So I drew rhododendrons because, you know, they're part of the whole plot thing. And I decided to draw daffodils, like in the reference, because they're called Narcissus, because Jinshi's a narcissist. I'm here all week. So this is how it turned out. I'm really happy with it. I do think I should learn a bit more texturing and like layer work in order to actually layer my stuff a bit better to make like more vivid colors. But I think I'm getting towards that direction. Like I need to do more color studies maybe to remedy that, and then I'll be better. But as far as I'm concerned, this is good. However, I did not measure the dimensions of this. I don't think so. So when I actually print this, I will be fucking hating myself for the decisions I made months ago surrounding the dimensions of the drawing. So that's cool. Anyway. Now, I don't know if anyone in the entirety of the Balkans collectively has watched or played Castlevania, but that's not gonna stop me from drawing my boy. Alucard is my favorite character in fiction, maybe after Sephiroth, maybe before, maybe they're on the same kind of level. And if you're sensing a pattern here, you absolutely are. And sue me, handcuff me. Honestly, at this point, I do need to be locked away for at least a little bit, because ever since I discovered long-haired men when I was about 9 years old, as well as historical fashion, my life has gone steadily downhill. And I think that sometimes maybe if I go outside into nature, it's going to heal me. However, I go out and then I start personifying flowers, so I don't think there is any help left for me. Regardless, lately, I've been getting into shows that are old, or into things that are old, and then seeing them unexpectedly get an adaptation or like a revival. Rose of Versailles hasn't had a fucking anything produced about it since like, what, 1985, since the fucking anime. Black Butler, which I genuinely was super surprised about when they announced the new season.
Brother, you can trust.
Hold on, what did I just say?
Interview with the Vampire. Fucking nobody reads those books anymore unless you're like fucking, what, 36? And Castlevania was the first of those things to get adapted that I enjoyed in that way, and that was old. And I think I watched the first ever 4 episodes that were released in a castle, like actually. Because my family, you know how it is in Europe. You go on vacation, you go to a fucking castle. You know, there's fucking castles at every fucking roundabout. And like this one comment states in the Fergalicious, Homestuck, Carcalicious parody, I cringed, but I enjoyed it. Because, and I'm the last person who should judge the quality of audio in anything. I don't know how to use the microphone I got to this day, and it's been years actually. However, if you're Netflix, then surely you should have some kind of quality control for when it comes to your voice acting, my guy. Everybody sounded way too different. It feels like everybody was using a different microphone with different settings and different filters. And don't get me started on that voice acting. As a matter of fact, don't get me started on that dialogue.
He shouldn't die. Yes, fuck you.
Warren Ellis is responsible for this dialogue. Now again, this is unscripted, so I'm literally going to read what he worked on, like, as I'm recording this. Let's see, comic book writer, Marvel series, X-Men, Thunderbolt, Moon Knight. Yeah, it all checks out. So he's responsible for all the goofy fucking one-liners and the insane amount of swearing and all of this. I can't lie, it almost ruined the show for me.
What? Giant slimy balls? Shit!
Honestly, the dialogue made me watch the whole thing on almost mute, and I just focused on appreciating the art, which was gorgeous, They did have time constraints, every studio has those, they did have the budgeting issues, there were some times when things were quite choppy, but I will forgive that, because everything else was gorgeous. And so I started watching Castlevania Nocturne with a bunch of friends who it takes ages to get together because we have to get into a Discord call, and I have to fucking work around fucking 5 time zones just in order to make this work. So I haven't finished watching it, but from what I've seen, it's an improvement. To some extent. I was kind of conflicted about what they've done to my boy, yet again. However, I think it's kind of closer to Amy Kojima's paintings, and it grew on me quite a bit, and now I think it's better than the original. Which is why I'm conflicted about this drawing that I did, because the color palette looks like it's season 1 Alucard, like the first series Alucard, not the most latest one. And I'm not gonna change it, I think it's still pretty decent. I initially wanted to flip the crucifix upside down and not the sword, but then I remembered where I am. Last year, I went to a Halloween party with a black veil over my face, and as I walked past, some people unironically made the sign of the cross at me. So I don't think Serbia's prepared for an upside down cross, even in fan art. No biggie, we're all Orthodox here. My bad. And once again, I did not measure the dimensions of this, so I'm going to kill myself for when I cut this. Now girlies, here at Ivka Art Corporate, we believe in being transparent about both our girl successes and our girl failures. And so it is with a heavy heart that I must inform you that I tried to draw Geto Suguru from Jujutsu Kaisen and failed miserably because of my choices of color and lighting. I initially wanted to draw him in the same moody color palette that I wanted to draw Jinshi in, and I decided to go straight in, absolutely raw dog it without learning how to do that. So instead of spending maybe 2 to 3 hours on some research and some quick studies, I wasted 6 with absolutely no result that I can actually show for it. Anyway, I was wondering where I'd find inspiration for a color palette this moody, but then I remembered the first time I went to visit my university in the UK. Basically, if you're not caught up, I studied in Cornwall for about a year and then I dropped out. And when I was flying over London, I was promised this like really happy, nice atmosphere, very European, very colorful, you know, kind of like it looks in Fate. And so I was excitedly looking out my window because I had the window seat that day. And then I saw the brown and the green, the gray, more of like a public bathroom green. And so I felt inspired by that to make this. I looked up some images that looked like they were taken in the north of England or maybe in Ireland or Scotland. I know there is an important distinction between all of these three. As a matter of fact, I empathize greatly with the Irish populace, and I think that what the British have done to the average price of a pint of beer in your area is close to diabolical. So I don't know where exactly these pictures were taken, and I didn't study how the lighting is produced because I refused to, and I just color picked it pretty much and put it onto the boy. The sketch itself was kind of fine, it was whatever, but it's really the color that made him look quite sick. I shouldn't have color picked it, and if I was to redo this again, I would first maybe start with a more alive skin tone and then play with values and maybe some layers and all that kind of stuff. And you could argue that I could do this even now, but I genuinely hated it so much by the time I was done with it that I decided to put my signature on it and forget about it forever. So here it is, and I decided to immediately redo this with a full body, so here is the process for that. Okay girls, I probably have the least to say about this one because I'm not a Jujutsu Kaisen fan. I know, and I'm very sorry if you are. In my defense, I didn't read the manga. I'm sure it is far better than the anime, but I only watched the anime, and from what little I've seen, just not a big fan of him. Just not a big fan of those like shonen that have power scaling and nothing much more to it, to be honest. In season 1, it was extremely tough to watch all the way through because of that massive like nondescript forest training arc that I've seen maybe 70 times already done in previous anime that were better than this one, at least in pacing or story or some kind of hook. I'm a very simple lady, what can you do? We've already established this. If I see a long-haired man that looks at least somewhat interesting to draw, I will draw him. So I decided to pick this pose for the boy, and I decided to go with a black background yet again. Most of my drawings actually have a black background from here on out, which is a little bit of an interesting choice. I think that's because of the type of character they are. I draw a lot of edgy goth bitches. Also, if I'm not a fan of the anime, I absolutely am a fan of the fan art. I honestly don't understand what they feed Jujutsu Kaisen, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, and like Genshin Impact fan artists, but they draw things that are worthy of being like on the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel, you get me? And so ultimately I don't really care where something is from. I might even like the character specifically based off the fan art alone. But anyway, I decided to make this a bit more fun. I decided to kind of include some of the powers that he has in the anime, like the dragon that he summons. It was my first time drawing a dragon, so it was a unique kind of hell. It took me a very long time to figure out the placement roughly of things, and I took some artistic liberties with how the dragon looks because, again, I'm not going to go and study dragon anatomy just for this one drawing. And I wanted to draw the man pondering his orb, and I wanted the light source itself to come from the orb. I just kind of thought that would be neat to do, so I went ahead and did it. And I was playing mostly with purple, blue, black, and like an iridescent kind of color palette for the dragon so that he's not just floating in nothingness. And I think this is definitely a more interesting piece than the one I did before. Maybe I will add some intrigue to it later on, like the fact that he's wearing flip-flops and socks. Like the flip-flop, you know, if you sit with a flip-flop, it usually hangs down from your foot in like this annoying way. It kind of adds sass to it. It kind of adds like liveliness and like realness to it. And we at Ivka Art Corporate, we believe in realness. So I might do that when I go back and like adjust these things and fix them. And here is the finished piece. It's just a quick one to see how I would do at drawing a character that I've never drawn before. Also, girls, if you're wondering why I sound less and less enthusiastic as time goes on, it's because it's hot as balls right now in Serbia, and ironically deadass for real on God. I love it when the fucking weather every day just gets to more and more should I even have children and have them suffer through a fucking apocalyptic crisis, you know? But anyway, despite the heat, I went to UrusaiCon. It's a convention that we had in Belgrade, and I had an absolute blast. It was held at Savat Center, which is next to the Crown Plaza, and at first I walked into the Crown Plaza and I was like, this is way too fancy to be the place, right? And then I turned to my right, and there was a Catboy there in full costume, so I was like, alright, seems to be the place. Now, unexpectedly, this anime convention hosted in Serbia actually had an amazing setup, and the Artist Alley was the first one that I've seen with such a sense of community and actual proper booths. Before the event, there was a Discord where artists could actually talk to each other and show off art, and I did a bit of that. But remember how I said that marketing here is notoriously bad and you find out about things when it's too late? Because I found out about this event pretty much a few days after the applications for the Artist Alley have closed. I even asked if I could apply a bit later, but they told me that I can't. So I went there as a visitor, and it was really good. As a matter of fact, money spread. This is now an unboxing video. We're doing this literally right here, right now. So these are like my notes for management that I will draw over for like a later piece. But I got this tenant print from a person who was so lovely. Like, I loved her art so much. This is her business card, and I taped it because I'm putting it on my wall. This is her name, and I got this Mary Sanson from Innocent Rouge print as well. I literally love these so much. I took them off my wall because the moment I got them, the moment I went back from the convention, I immediately had to display them. And then I got all of these stickers, and I already stuck them on my new sketchbook that I have lined up for when I finish my old one. I was so surprised to see anything Malice Miser related at that convention. And then there was this girl there who was just drawing exclusively Sonic the Hedgehog fan art, and she was so passionate about it. I only played the first game, or the first two games on the Sega Genesis back when I was a child, but regardless, I bought these because of her passion. I love you, Sonic girl! Stay on your grind! And Ghost Trick sticker, Devilman Crybaby sticker, and this one OC sticker. And I also got this one Undertale one. I did not plan the layout for how they would look on the sketchbook. That kind of sucks, but I'll fill this space up eventually. And I'm also kind of worried about this being a soft cover with like a pattern on it, with like a, you know, texture. I am afraid that these will like get unstuck, but we will see. Anyway, I had an amazing time there. I met wonderful people. It meant a lot more to me to meet someone in person and actually have the same kind of dreams as them or the same kind of drive. There was a girl there who would only draw Sonic the Hedgehog, like that's her entire thing. There was also notably a Yaoi tip jar and a Yuri tip jar, and people would kind of like have a poll, like a vote off of sorts with money that they'd put in. And at the beginning, Yuri was winning, seriously. Serbs love Yuri for some reason. And then we checked a bit later and someone left 2,000 Serbian dinars in the Yaoi one, which is a lot of money. That's money here, that's not nothing. And I hope that this convention is gonna happen next year because I would love to be there and I would love to have maybe a booth buddy even, because I think it's kind of sad having a booth by yourself, especially if you don't have a lot of art. But anyway, the video playing in the background, the process is of Undertaker from Black Butler. Again, a thing I didn't expect to get another adaptation anytime soon. I thought it was dead. I thought there was no way it was gonna get revived, but I was wrong. I actually have a piece of official merchandise from it. I received it as a gift from my friend Milica, who went to Amsterdam and thought of the worst thing she could possibly give me. And she gifted me this specifically because of the large format. So we sat down at a sushi restaurant and she handed it to me and I saw just the length of it. And it automatically made me realize, holy shit, this is very big. Where am I gonna put this? So it's hanging on my wardrobe right now, right next to my world history timeline. And I think eventually my room will become the perfect bitch repellent. Girlies? Let me tell you, the sketch of this was so ass. I don't know what happened, but I was in the countryside, I was drawing it, and I was just like, I think I was too passive, like, I don't know what happened, but it was so shit, I had to restart from scratch, yo. And so I did, and I'm extremely glad that I did so. I was using this as a rough reference.
We have removed one of your pins.
If you say so.
And I just started going right in. The background was black again. And a thing I learned from the convention art is that it doesn't take much to really like have this spark and have someone get interested enough in your drawing to buy it. Because the stuff that I bought was pretty much sketches. And I wasn't as interested in fully rendered pieces. Now that's interesting. I guess you would be more inclined to buy a fully rendered piece if it was an expensive one, but these pieces were not expensive. If you're curious, it cost around 300 Serbian dinars, which is 2.5 euros, maybe 3. So this sounds extremely cheap, obviously, but you have to factor in the fact that the income here is lower than in the rest of Europe, and that it doesn't take much to make, honestly. A weird thing I actually noticed about the vendors is that they didn't provide you bags for what you bought. So I had to walk with my prints everywhere, and I had to put my stickers in my bag, and I will definitely remedy that. To be honest, to me, it was one of the most like prioritized things, because you can get those like packs or bags for envelopes, like letters or whatever, at the post office for relatively cheap. That's what I think I will rely on for when I actually do a convention like this. But anyway, after I locked in, girls, this drawing went so well. I am so happy with it, you don't even understand. And I decided to add the Black Butler logo to this. I'm not really a graphics designer by any means. I actually think that I should try to learn some, because graphic design to me is like the pinnacle of good composition knowledge and good color and good harmony of the general piece and how it would look like on a wall or on something, which is what you're ultimately making, right? It's kind of like product design. But for now, this is all I had. I just took the PNG of the thing and I put it on there, just kind of slapped it on there, and it looks all right. And for my next trick, I will draw a long-haired man. Anyway, while I was working in Montenegro, I made a very good friend there from Sarajevo in Bosnia, and she made me watch all of Hell of a Boss with her on the beach after my working hours. It was an amazing time, and her family actually ended up inviting me over to Bosnia, and only maybe a year after the invitation could I actually make it. Alright, bitch, it's time to go. It's motherfucking Bosnia, bitch. I took a bus to there and I got to meet her. However, I thought my phone got stolen on the way to there. I basically arrived during a massive storm that made me think that there were waterfalls in Bosnia, that's just a thing that happens. But no, there was so much rainfall that the hills and the mountains became waterfalls. So I arrived there and I was supposed to be picked up by her mom, and I had to get out super duper quick. And I literally remember seeing that my phone was there in the last second, and then I sat like in the car with her mom. It was super duper rainy, so you know, I started checking my bags and everything, and I was like, huh, I mean, it's only been 5 seconds since I last checked my bags. How bad can it be? And I'm like, no, my phone is actually not there. So I started freaking out, obviously. I was on the verge of tears because it's a phone that I didn't even finish like paying for, you know, the, what's it called? The long-term payment plan, and I already fucking lost it. I had to email all my friends about my predicament or contact them through Discord, and it turned out that the entire time the phone was in my fucking tote bag. I just put it there in a hurry and I completely disregarded it because of how fast I had to run. It was stuck in a seam that I specifically made in the bag for practical purposes. Really fucking practical, huh? However, it was possibly thanks to losing my phone that I had such a good time. I would wake up every morning without having to worry about what the hell my friend sent me after taking 200 milligrams of melatonin and then somehow still being awake. I would no longer be updated on Love and Deep Space against my fucking will. And so me and the friend I made went exploring, and she couldn't not attend her lectures, so I went to her art lectures with her, and it was kind of nostalgic. It's like, ah yes, I've been through this before. I've been through art school before. I was so glad to not be in art school anymore. And I went to live drawing lessons that she had there for pretty much free. And I also got to meet all her friends from art uni, and we went hiking to a mountain because it was the 1st of May, which is a big deal in the Balkans. We had a picnic.
We're not having sex in here. Yet. We don't have.
And we also played D&D indoors. My friend became obsessed with Ace Attorney recently as of my arrival, and she was playing all the games and I was spectating and, you know, helping her answer stuff because I played them before on my 3DS.
Why is there 566 videos in this playlist where I'm not fucking watching all of them?
And when she finished the games, she immediately started drawing Wrightsworth Yaoi. And I brought my tablet with me as well, so I was thinking of what to draw. Now, I've been drawing Griffith for a while, but recently I reread the manga and it made me want to not draw him anymore. And then I came to Bosnia and I saw all the degeneracy, and I kind of got in the groove of it, so I set my ethics aside. I decided to draw him specifically in the more like, it's not 18th century, you know what I mean, outfit with the sword and whatnot, and I used this as a reference. Please don't delete it. Pinterest, I beg of you. I love the way the background turned out and how it contrasted with the skin, but I wanted specifically to kind of have like a blush appear on the cheeks, you know, like when you're out in the snow. And I made the background painterly and chunky, and it's like I'm painting in gouache again, you know, I love that shit. And I also made an illustration on the side, like a leitmotif, so that there is more yellow in the piece and it's kind of harmoniously spread around. And I was drawing this over the course of a few days. My first attempt at this really fucking sucked, but I pulled through, I think, sheerly because I had so much fun and I had such a good connection with the people I met there. There was a furry artist that paid off a house with the money that she earned. There was a girl with a modded 3DS, and it was the coolest 3DS I've ever seen. Sadly, my phone was supposedly lost for the first 3 to 4 days, so I couldn't take a picture of it, nor could I record the fanfiction that was being read to me at 8 in the morning while I was doing the dishes. And so I had to be in the moment for that. I had to be there, grounded, present, meditative. A notable thing about the friend I made is the fact that she sleeps with the TV on, and she also, like me, gets sinusitis if she opens the windows too much. And this is the story of how I woke up, drenched in sweat, absolutely unable to breathe, and with my skin dry, with a Germa clip compilation playing in front of me. It actually felt like I didn't wake up. I don't think my circadian rhythm could possibly ever recover. Also, Bosnia has an interesting connection to me, and I'm going to go into that. I was at a cemetery in Serbia. I think it was my grandma's funeral or a remembrance of her funeral after a year has passed. I'm not exactly sure. And there was a Serbian priest present, and he looked at me and asked me how old I was. and I was 20, so I told him 20. And he said, I see, you have my blessing, you will marry a Bosnian man. And then he disappeared. He fucking left. I've never seen him again. And so now, unironically, genuinely, girls, if I see a guy who interests me, my first question that I have to ask is if he's Bosnian or not. And depending on his answer, we can actually continue. Anyway, we went to a shop with my friends to buy some groceries, and the cashier there noticed my Serbian-like accent and was like, "You're not from here, are you?" And I said, "No, I came here from Serbia." And she goes, "You're Bosnian as far as I'm concerned, right?" And then, after a little bit of silence, she says, "You know, I actually have a son," implying that she wants to marry him off with me. And it was like a movie moment. I stood still, and I could feel time has just stopped entirely. And my friend asked me what the fuck happened, because apparently I had an expression on my face that I've never had before. And so when we got in the car with her and her mom, I told them that story, and they started to laugh to tears. Anyway, I don't know if that priest knows the effect that he had on me by saying that, but it will stay with me for a very long time. Watch me move out of the Balkans and still find, like, a Bosnian person. I refuse to accept this. Anyway, girls, this is already a very long fucking video. It's been going on for around 30 minutes by now, and so I will just round up by quickly telling you the things that stand out about these two last pieces that I'm doing. So the first one is of Sebastian from Black Butler, and I'm still thinking and considering about whether or not I'll include him or not, because the blending is a bit awkward, and also there's something about the eyes. I don't think it's as cunty and as concrete as Undertaker. So I will work on it off camera. I will do some off-screen mining, so to speak. And the second piece is Enki, which I actually drew last year already, but it got popular enough where I think that maybe it will sell. I saw a bunch of Fear and Hunger stuff at the convention, which really surprised me. Probably the most surprising thing I saw there was the new carnival stickers. I know what kind of woman you are. Anyway, I used myself as reference for this. That's why he has childbirthing hips. I really like the contrast of the red and the green. It's really nice, and I'm very happy with how the hands turned out. The arms are specifically well rendered. There is a crow outside my fucking apartment screaming its lungs out, and I enjoyed drawing both of these a lot. Sebastian was back when I was in Bosnia, and Enki was back here in my studio back when I started playing Fear and Hunger and got really into it. Here is the overall roundup. It is 7 prints. However, I'm going to add more things to this later. I feel like there is too much time between now and November for me to just make the video about everything I've drawn, so I will leave it at that. And also, in order to print everything, I will need money, which I just got a job related to the field I'm studying for. So I will now disappear because I will be working full-time, and then I will probably have a break in January and February. I have no idea, again, when I will be back exactly. However, expect things, or maybe don't. And I just want to say that if you've watched all of this and you found it entertaining, thank you so much. And I love every bit of support that I receive. It means a lot to me, and I feel like you're helping me achieve my dreams. It means more than you could ever possibly imagine. Thank you so much, and goodbye.